All right, hello. Well, my name is Ryan Taylor. I'm the CEO of the Dash core team. And I'm here to talk to you today, of course, about Dash and tell you a little bit more about what makes us different from much of the rest of the market. So Dash is a digital currency. It's forked from Bitcoin's code base that makes us compatible with much of the Bitcoin ecosystem. And Dash has added some additional improvements surrounding a number of user features, governance, self-funding model, and incentivized infrastructure. And actually, Dash is a long track record at this point of innovation within the space. We were the first to introduce the concept of a master node or a second tier to our network, and that offers a number of benefits and services out to our users. The second thing is we were the first to introduce incentivized nodes and rewarding people who are running full copies of the blockchain and servicing the network. We were the first to introduce privacy features on our network, intentionally designed to provide users with privacy. The first to introduce instant transactions that confirm within a couple of seconds, similar to a credit card. We were the first to introduce an explicit governance model and the ability for the network itself to vote on topics. And we were the first to introduce a self-funded treasury that pays for our development directly from the blockchain. And we're continuing that innovation into the following years. We've got a roadmap ahead of us that really focuses on the user experience. And so I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about some of those things and let you know how Dash works and what we're looking forward to bringing to the market in the future. So Dash is really focused on solving the chicken and egg problem that is inherent with cryptocurrencies. It's simply true that not many merchants, and certainly not large ones, accept cryptocurrencies as a form of payment. And users don't necessarily want to use a form of payment that merchants don't accept. And so this problem is inherent to the entire space, and we've been very focused on solving this chicken and egg problem. It's not impossible to solve. There are adoption factors for both the merchant and the consumer that can solve this problem. One of those problems is usability. And when you think about what Bitcoin looks like today to your average consumer, it's very similar to what we saw with the early versions of the internet. It's very basic. It's not very user-friendly. And so if you look at the early browser, it's a lot of text, a lot of hyperlinks. And today, it's this very rich experience with lots of content that is served up specifically to you. It's easy to use. It's intuitive. And your typical wallet for most cryptocurrencies looks very much like the early internet. It's basic. You've got cryptographic addresses. It's not very user-friendly. You have to wait for it to synchronize. And what we're solving for is, what does the cryptocurrency of the future look like? In addition to usability, just in terms of the adoption factors on the consumer side, we're applying payments industry best practices to our product. I think one of the problems inherent in the space is that a lot of the solutions that are coming to market are programmer-led, and they may be really cool and cryptographically perfect and all of these things, but what use case are you solving for? What user experience are you solving for, and what technologies are needed to produce that? And that's what makes Dash different. We're very focused on providing specific use cases and addressing those through the technology. And when you think about the adoption factors for a new payment system, It's primarily these three. You have to provide a product that's faster and easier to use than the alternatives. That's why we have instant transactions. That's why we're getting rid of the cryptography that is user-facing today and replacing it with usernames and passwords. We're enabling the ability to have your information stored cryptographically within the network and send that through to a merchant at the touch of a fingerprint, so that you don't have to type in your address, your email address for the receipt, and your phone number and all of those things when you make a purchase. More secure. Right now, users lose funds to hacks. They may make a purchase and never receive the goods. It's not very secure from the consumer side. From the merchant side, it's fantastic. Once they receive the payment, there's no chargebacks. But we haven't solved the consumer side or provided them an incentive to use something besides a credit card. And switching incentives. Virtually every other consumer-oriented payment system provides incentives for the consumer. They need to see loyalty programs or some type of sign-up bonus in order to try something new. In most cryptocurrencies, the consumer is actually disincentivized because they're the ones that have to pay the fees associated with the transaction. And so by doing things differently, we believe that we can expand cryptocurrency in a much broader audience. I mentioned some of Dash's unique features. We have instant transactions. They're as fast as a credit card. We have much better privacy features so that your balances and transactions are not public for people to spy on a fully public blockchain. Our blockchain is fully transparent. Our blockchain is fully transparent, just like Bitcoin's, but through some processes that we've enabled on the blockchain, it's very difficult to trace those transactions through and spy on people's balances. We have incentivized infrastructure. So we actually pay people to run full nodes in high capacity data centers that basically provide a much higher level of service than when you're asking for people to run full nodes for free. We call this masternode rewards, and anyone that puts up 1,000 Dash can, or proves ownership of 1,000 Dash, can upgrade their node to a masternode, service the network, and receive payment for doing so. We have around 4,400 nodes today, or masternodes today, that are receiving payments and helping secure the network and providing instant transactions and privacy. And finally, we've got decentralized funding and governance. We don't have to have endless debates about topics that are of strategic nature to the network. We can resolve issues like block size debates and things like that with a yes-no vote of the masternodes. I think of our masternodes as shareholders who have a say in the outcome of the coin and what direction we're going to head. They also get to vote on proposals. Anyone can put a proposal up to the network, and a portion of the block reward is reserved for paying out proposals to people that are going to add value to the network. The core team is one of many teams that receives payments through this treasury and delivers value by providing for programmers, marketing, public relations, business development, all the needs that the network has. And I think this is a really important insight, is that mining is not the only thing required to have an effective network. You need all of these other resources. So our block reward is actually split. 45% goes towards miners. They're very important for securing the network. 45% goes towards the owners of these masternodes in order to incentivize them to provide these services. It also helps prevent any one person from controlling the entire network, since you have to collateralize those nodes with proving ownership over 1,000 Dash. No one person can control a high percentage of the network. And the last 10% is allocated towards project funding. And this can be anything. Literally anyone can put up a proposal and have it voted on by the network. The process is simple. Each of the masternodes get a vote on each of the proposals. They have the opportunity to say yes or no. And the highest ranked projects or funding requests fund first. This is a very detailed slide, and I know you can't see it, but this slide is illustrative of the network effects that we have happening within our ecosystem, and these are designed to be this way. We thought very carefully about the economics of our network, and the budget system is the one in blue here. And the budget system really is one of the most powerful effects that we have within our network. What we see is that as the coin grows, the price directly affects the size of our budget. And as our budget gets bigger, we can do more things with it. We can fund integrations. We can fund a larger team, more developers, grow our ecosystem in various ways. And as that happens, more people find it useful and more money flows through our system. And that leads to a higher price, which leads to yet even larger budgets. And so we're growing at an exceptional rate. Triple digits for each of the last 3 years. This year, we're growing at quadruple digits so far. And just to put the funding in perspective, I know that the Bitcoin Foundation is certainly not the only source or even the largest source of funding for Bitcoin development. But in the most recent IRS filing, the Bitcoin Foundation generated about $396,000 in revenue. MIT also supported a few developers, blocks, a number of companies actually in the space provide some resources towards development of the Bitcoin code base. But this is just to put this in perspective. Last year, Dash generated over $600,000 in project funding. And this year, this was based on a price of 85, and we're currently at about 135. So this number is underreported. But around $7 million would be available at $85. So I'm guessing we're somewhere around $12 million a year right now. About $1 million a month that we can put towards development of our ecosystem. And to put this in a longer term perspective, if we were ever to reach Bitcoin's size and market cap, this funding would be over $300 million a year. You can do a lot with that. You can do entire marketing campaigns. You can provide for user support, for people to call in and get help globally. And so we believe that this offers much more value to the consumer if we're able to continue to build on this ecosystem and continue to provide more services to our users. And where does this money come from? Doesn't it make it less secure? The answer to that is no, because as you spend more and more on hash rate, you aren't truly getting more and more security. It plateaus, and there comes a point where it becomes wasteful. Bitcoin is spending around $1.5 billion a year on network hash rate. And about the largest transaction you could try to do on that network wouldn't come close to providing enough incentive for an attacker to try to 51% attack the Bitcoin network by orders of magnitude. And so what we do is we've simply taken the portion that is least efficiently spent and allocated that towards other sources of value, rewarding masternodes for operating the network, allocating money towards treasury, things that can be spent on valuable expansion of the ecosystem, or if the budget isn't fully spent, those are just coins that are never created, leading to lower inflation of the coin supply. In 2016, we signed up quite a number of integrations and partnerships. A lot of this was underlying infrastructure that consumer services would need. And I started to create one for 2017. I got through the A's, B's, and C's, and I started running out of space, and I figured I better put Kraken up there just for the heck of it to make sure that we give them recognition. But it's amazing how quickly we're starting to sign up new partners. And what's next is Evolution. So Evolution is going to be our easy-to-use platform that's aimed at the everyday consumer. Gone are the cryptographic addresses. You'll be able to store friends lists, favorited merchants. You'll be able to search for products and services directly in the interface. And all of your transaction history will be there. We're introducing vault accounts where you can store larger amounts that you need to be more secure. And this is what the mobile is going to look like, very clean and easy to use. So that's Dash, and that's what we're bringing to the everyday consumer, is a digital currency that they can use and use very easily. Thank you.